Every time I think he's reached like a point where he can get no lower, he just exceeds expectations. I'm like, wow, this guy is a problem. So he has just been plunging Nigeria into the depths of hell.
If you knew what you were made of, then we would save the
world. So let's look at a few of his contributions, for want of a better word, and see what this moron has been up to.
Countless young people.
So this is him being, by the way, there's a big deal. Tinubu came to the UK over the past few, last week he was here, and there was a big deal, a big reception granted to him. Like, it was massive, actually. It was massive. They rolled out the red carpet. So I knew this dude was going to act the fool. And I knew that this demon was going to do something incredibly problematic. So let's just have a little bit of a digest of what this guy has been up to and why the red carpet has been rolled out for him.
Who have flourished through the work of my King's Trust over the last 50 years.
So I don't know who that is. I'm assuming is that his kids or something. That political class in Africa, is in Nigeria in particular, it's no accident. I think they all have historic ancestry of partnership with Europe, which is what placed them into these positions. And then they are raised and indoctrinated and ingrained with this allegiance to Europe, which is what we're seeing in Tinubu. This is someone who was born into wealth. And wealth, by the way, in Nigeria, guys, is not it's not quantifiable a lot of the time. A lot of these people are billionaires before talk of billionaires became a thing. That's how rich they are off the back of Nigeria. So his kids, his offspring, a lot of these time, these devils are all cut from the same cloth, if I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Only last week, I was delighted to host a rather lively group of them for a jollof and tea party. I was firmly assured that the jollof was only the best Nigerian, of course. Or perhaps it was Ghanaian or Senegalese.
That was actually quite sharp by Charles. Well done for getting in there on the jollof wars. Shout out Drego, says, I want a girlfriend that looks at me the same way he looks at European men. He got lost in Macron's eyes. Yeah, we've got to come on to that. Ultimate betrayal, by the way. Tinubu meeting with Macron at the very height of the, the Sahelian alliance uprising, when we needed to show solidarity. He did the exact opposite. Something that Nigeria has always been reliable for, is to do the exact opposite of what they need to do in a situation. This is what I mean about these leaders with their historic familial allegiances to the West. Very, very problematic.
Let me propose a toast to the president and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last.
Please.
Now, flinging a little bit of pigeon in there is this means that this man is giving up a lot, or he's opening a wide door, because the English don't respect Africans enough to do this kind of pageantry unless this guy is doing some real demonism. I'm telling you right now. Look at those whitewash paintings in the background. I think that's King George III there in the middle. Yeah, these whitewashed paintings of British monarchs. But yeah, we'll talk about that another day. Not today. We will talk about that soon, though. And the question mark also needs to be raised here in regards to the role that the monarchy play, because England gets away so much with this false idea that the monarchy are just, symbolic and they don't hold any political power. but it was the monarchy who essentially made this visit from a Nigerian leader happen. They kind of open the door, and it makes you question, you know, this highlights the fact that the UK is still a dictatorship, by the way. People think the monarchy have absolute power. Okay, they have the power. The king has the power to disband parliament like that. Okay, so if the king has power to disband parliament, I always ask people this simple question: if the king has power to disband parliament, do you think parliament is ever going to have discussions that threaten the power of the king? So you know the answer to that question is obviously no. So Parliament A is never going to have any discussions that threaten the power or the position of the king. So it's a catch-22. It's a loop that they have here. Okay, it's a circular look. Like you can't threaten the king, and the king, you're saying the king has no authority, but the king has the ultimate authority to disband Parliament. And then you say the Parliament are the ones who are ultimately in charge, but they don't have power to discuss anything that threatens the position of the king. Otherwise, they threaten being disbanded. Okay, and this is, but for those of you who think this doesn't happen, it's happened in Australia. Okay, it might not have happened in the UK. So ultimately, everything that happens in the UK is okay with the royal family or the king. He's okay with everything, every debate about immigration, this, that, and the other. He's okay with it all because ultimately he's in charge. But England would never frame it that way. They'd frame it that way when it comes to eliminating Khomeini, who also didn't hold a political office. He was a spiritual leader. They did the same thing with Gaddafi, who also didn't hold political office when they got rid of him. He was once again just a symbolic overseer of things. Other nations can't have that. They can't have people who have the long-term interest of the nation. What they want is these rotating 4-year despots, these 4-year demons who come in, bleed the economy dry, and then leave. And then the next set come in, get everything they can, and then leave. The worst thing they want to see happen in any non-Western, non-European nation is for there to be long-standing leaders who have the long-term interests of their nation. That's exactly what they don't want. 4-year democracy suits them perfectly because they can control those with capital, but that's an entirely different conversation. That's why I'd raise the fact that it's quite symbolic that Prince Charles, or King, I should say, although he's never, I don't even like saying it, it doesn't even sound right. Charles is, you know, hosting this. Enough of the anthem. There's Camilla, the king's side piece, the king's illegitimate side piece, who now sits as queen consort in the UK. Yeah, his affair that the entire world was aware of, who now sits on the friggin' throne of England. Isn't that something? Here we go.
Cabo Shdani.
Laughing like Rafiki, fucking idiot.
My wife and I are delighted to welcome you to Windsor Castle here on this occasion. And we are most grateful to you for traveling during this holy month, which I acknowledge is no small sacrifice. And so it is my particular...
Look at the way he's looking at him. That is pure adoration.
pleasure to wish you, Mr. President, peace, blessings, and an abundance of joy. And Ramadan Mubarak.
So enough of that. Let's have a look at some of the implications of this visit.
My people, the president of Nigeria has just turned on his own people. Yes, he went to the UK and had a discussion with the Prime Minister of the UK. They gave him money and he's accepted to have Nigerian removed from the UK back to Nigeria. You know, they always tell you that black people turn on other black people easily. Yes, this man here, Bola Tinubu, went to the UK. He had some dance, some food and stuff. Then they told him, brother, we can give you money, but you need to accept to have your people without having to go through long legal processes. He said, yes, no problem. So now the UK has the right to arrest you as a Nigerian if they find that you're not legal in the UK and send you back to Nigeria immediately without having to go through the police and the judicial system. Thanks.
So just to be clear on that, That sounds like a very similar approach to what ICE are taking. And do you remember what I said about the UK effectively being as racist, sometimes more racist than the States, but they're able to do it in a way that it doesn't garner any attention? So the United States is just like basically, you know, the UK's, you know, crackhead brother who just does everything in the most uncouth way, you know, just send ICE agents out and they're just shooting people in the street. UK will have exactly the same policy, but they'll do it in a very clandestine, under the radar manner in which it doesn't get any of the same attention that it's getting elsewhere, but they're still doing the same thing. And by the way, this was first, the wheels of this were put in motion by, like I said, those, you know, those Asian home secretaries who were desperate to deport black people. And like I said, black people make up only 3% of the population. And I guarantee you, like, Nigerians don't make up, we're not a problematic ethnicity. We're not a problematic ethnic group. You know, we are an ethnic group that essentially end up being very educated and end up doing very well, if not already educated when they come here. This is just, you know, we're not a problematic ethnic group. Yes, I'm not saying we're perfect, but the ratio of criminals in amongst Nigerians is just, it's you know, is very much par for the course of what you'd find in the UK. So why would you agree to a deal like this? You know, why would you even want to change a deportation policy? This is all about optics. It's all about things that can be reported back in the Houses of Parliament, and it's all about getting people focusing on things that are irrelevant. You convince people that Rwandan men are a threat and they'll kill your 14-year-old kids. You convince people that Nigerians are only here causing mischief by the way you treat them. So if you can report this many arrests or this many deportees, all of a sudden now it looks like that's a problematic group. So they're very, very effective in the way that they commit things like this. And Tinubu's got to be aware of this. I mean, like I said, when I said I'm not sure if this guy is evil or an idiot, I'm not sure. I really am not sure, because when he talks, he sounds so entirely stupid. He just sounds like he's a part of that generation that, yeah, they're just stupid and set in their ways and stupid. And I say this because respectfully, I have people even in my family who talk like Tinubu. They're just idiots, you know, and I just like, I can't, uncle, I love you, but I cannot talk to you right now. Because when it comes to these matters, you're so flipping, like, you're so stupid. Like, oh, England has been good now. Well, look how well, we can't do nothing without there. Like that kind of mindset, it does exist. It's not rarity in a lot of African populations, and particularly in Nigerians. It's more common than you think. People that think like him. So this is why I'm on the fence about his evilness or his stupidity. I'm not sure which one it is. In fact, I'm going to skip over this one because there's another one that kind of just like focuses in a little bit more of the deal from a technical perspective, so you guys are kind of a bit clearer on this. So let me just quickly go to that one. But respect to you, Zach Mekwesa, I appreciate the summary. It was cool. Let's go to this next one, because this will give us details about the deal itself.
Distinguished guests, it's a privilege to be here today as we strengthen the partnership between the United Kingdom and Nigeria.
Let me briefly also talk about the MOU, which is establishing a clear framework for deeper collaboration. Up to 9 transactions have already been identified in the health sector, in the provision of infrastructure for the security services.
So he's talking about there, and I was going to come on to this. So this is what's concerning here. Okay, so first of all, these deals, okay, first of all, 746 million. Okay, so let's just round that up. In fact, let's just say $1 billion, which is roughly what it is. Okay, 746 million pounds, roughly speaking. It's more than, but let's just say it's $1 billion. Okay, financing deal in the UK to modernize Lagos ports. So which direction is that money flowing? We already know that money is flowing from the UK to Nigeria. Now, as a UK citizen, I can tell you right now, the UK Treasury doesn't have $1 billion to give to Nigeria. It doesn't. That's what the entire immigration argument is about. It's about saving these billions, and $1 billion deal like this is something that they don't have. And this minister over here has already mentioned a health deal that Nigeria's already signed up to. And that health deal was basically to sell Nigerian health data to the West. Okay, selling Nigerians' health data against their will, by the way. No kind of like permission, just you're gonna have full access to Nigeria's data. And they've received or are in the process of receiving windfall sums of money for that deal as well. So what you have to understand, or at least the way I perceive it, I should say, is that this is aid, to be very, very clear. This is foreign aid, something that is never good for Africa. Okay, it's never good for Africa to have these foreign aid deals, i.e., free money coming from the British or Western taxpayers into the coffers of Nigerians. When that happens, it always comes with rampant corruption. And I guarantee you, Nigeria is losing as a result of this, because whatever they're given in aid, they are gaining more than that elsewhere from other areas. So Nigeria, Tinubu has been going around Europe for some reason with his begging bowl out, collecting these giant sums of aid from Western leaders, just out there giving money. What do you want? You could take it or sign this or come develop. No, just out there with his begging bowl. Nigeria could generate $1 billion in its oil revenues. It wouldn't take very long. Okay, in a month. Yeah, it could generate $1 billion in oil revenues to pay for these modernization of Lagos ports. We don't need to sign a deal with our ex-colony, with our neo-colonial master. That didn't need to happen. It could be done independently, but it's not being done independently. It's once again reaffirming and restating these old colonial ties, and it's doing it in an aid way as well. When one nation is the one that is parting with cash and giving it to another nation, that's not a trade deal. Okay, you haven't said what Nigeria is given. You haven't said what Nigeria is given to the UK. You said, oh yeah, so we're modernizing their ports, we're giving them all this money. That's aid. That's aid, and we all know what that comes with. It comes at the detriment of the Nigerian people, and it probably all flows into Tinubu and his family's pockets. It's just anyway. Let's just carry on.
Major highways that will open up the country and open up the economy, including the agricultural sector. So this MOU does focus on infrastructure, on energy, and industrial development, which of course is the key at this stage for Nigeria to grow its industries, take advantage of the new bilateralism that is now what is being emphasized the world over compared to multilateralism. And of course, that will bring the investments that will grow the economy, create jobs, and lift.
So is he suggesting that having a single trading partner is advantageous to having multiple trading partners? Was that someone correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the point he was making about that it's better that they work in a bilateral way as opposed to multilateral way? So he's trying to, I don't understand. Is that what he was just saying? I could have totally missed that. I might have gone over my head. So please let me know in the chat if you interpreted that the same way. Is he suggesting that it's better for Nigeria to have one-to-one trade agreements as opposed to being able to trade on an open market? I don't understand.
People out of poverty in their millions, which is the overall aim of the macroeconomic agenda, what we call the Renewed Hope Agenda and Action Plan of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So this MOU aligns with our goal to mobilize investment, mobilize capital at scale, I would say. And for our UK partners, of course, it creates a stronger pipeline of bankable transactions that UKEF can look at and readily support. And it also expands the role for UK companies to participate and benefit from Nigeria's growth. So our key message is that we're moving.
So that sounded to me like code for allowing, you know, UK, the usual suspects in terms of extraction organizations, mining organizations, oil companies to participate more easily. And, you know, what are we shipping? What goods are we shipping? What is Nigeria producing? What is Nigeria manufacturing? Can we stop pretending like Nigeria has this whole, you know, this whole suite of goods that they're producing? You're talking about basically selling Nigeria's natural resources to UK companies, and that's why you want to make port enhancements and this, that, and the other. And you want to do it bilaterally. You don't want to do it, you know, with like this. It sounds like dressed up coonery. I could just be hearing this wrong, by the way, guys. I'm not pretending like I fully am all fair with everything that's been, but that's how I'm hearing this right now. It sounds very problematic.
From reform to investment to growth. Finally, let me say that these agreements reflect a shared and deep common trust. We have a common history, and we're now looking at investments at scale based on that trust and the commitment to deliver.
Investment at scale. This is it's just headache. Why do you need aid? And it's true with the enhancement to this is once again Nigeria showing its treacherous hand. Because if someone just made a very good point, I'm going to put your point up on the screen here. Okay, so shout out to you, PE YOLO, who says, so this is how the UK might try to avoid Iran war consequences. And I think you're onto something here, because this would be part and parcel the reason as to why Nigeria has been targeted. They are trying to secure, you know, the upscaling of exports of crude oil and exports of other minerals, but probably focus on crude oil, so that should the Strait of Hormuz remain closed or that region of the earth remain problematic, they can fall back on Nigeria, who has upscaled themselves to basically export far more than they're exporting at the moment. And that might also paint the picture as to why they're willing to pay for those enhancements to be made. And why that really pisses me off is because this will show once again Nigeria picking sides with the colonies. They do it time and time again. When it came to the invasion of Gaddafi, they supported it. When it came to the invasion of the Ivory Coast by the French, they did nothing. When it came to the AES alliance and the uprising in Benin, they quelled that. And then they invited France and they shook hands with the French, even though Nigeria has historically never had trade agreements with France. Never had trade agreements with France. We're not a francophone nation, but made new deals just to spit in the face of our African brothers who were fighting against him. And now a war has been declared on Iran, and Nigeria is there straight away. Even when Mugabe kicked out those white farmers, guess the nation that invited them in and said, build your farms here. And everyone, all the idiots are going, oh, this is such a wise move. Oh, we are getting the farmers. How has that benefited the Nigerian people having them white farmers? How did that work out? How did that work out for Nigeria? Did Nigeria become the breadbasket it was supposed to become? No, it just meant that you have no solidarity. I'm telling you, it is a very, very difficult job being a proud Nigerian in 2026. It's hard to do.
Tangible economic outcomes, both for Nigeria and for the United Kingdom. I thank you for listening.
Since we're on the topic of Tinubu, let's hear how Tinubu describes himself.
If you weren't running for president, which of your two major opponents would you be voting for?
None.
Why not?
None of them is qualified except me.
What are you going to do different? Why should Nigerians be voting for you?
Because I'm different. I am Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm
saying nothing. He's saying nothing here. Remember, this is his campaign. Yeah, this is his campaign for the presidency. And listen to what he has to say. It's like I was gonna say it's like Donald Trump, but with less substance. Listen to this man.
Very, very confident. I'm the front runner.
You're a very wealthy man.
How do you know?
Well, you know, I mean,
You are not my accountant.
I'm not in your account.
IMF have investigated the record in Lagos. What's wrong with them?
And I want to move away from that.
It's
I think
envy.
I think you've kind of explained that.
Chaos is easy. So bring normalcy and redecorate. It's more difficult.
So we know what normalcy looks like for this guy here. So bringing normalcy is more difficult, but we can see what normalcy is to him. Okay, it's recolonization of Africa, you know, and we saw that with the bombing of Nigeria, which is something I didn't even mention earlier. Okay, allowing the US to bomb Niger. I say Nigeria, but really it was about bombing Niger and sending a message to the AES alliance that they were going to be taking sides with France, military side, to stop the spread of that movement and quelling the uprising that was that would have hit Benin had they not intervened. So did you know, here's another one. Okay, so here's another one in case you didn't know. Okay, now this is going back a little while, but you should know about this. If you
Very happy to receive it on behalf of not only myself, but the incredible team at the foundation.
Acknowledge one of the greatest human beings that the world has brought. All I need to say is thank you.
He's talking about Bill Gates here, guys. Bill Gates. Tinubu gave Bill Gates the highest honor, awarded him with the highest honor. Okay, and this was leading up to the health deal, which Bill Gates was at the center of, by the way, to extract Africa's health data and sell it. So Tinubu has just been going around shaking hands with the most evil people in the world, selling every part of Africa that he can sell, anything that he can monetize. He's just selling to the old colonial forces and like doing it without any regard for Nigeria's people, without any regard for the effect and the impact, the long-term impact on Africa. This man is he's so wicked. I can't honestly, I'm losing the superlatives to describe how much of a negative impact he's having, because Nigerians right now in Nigeria are having a horrible time. The economy is horrible because of this man. So it's not even like there's a domestic payoff for all of this global coonery. It's like he's on a mission to do as much damage in as short a period of time as possible. He just flabbergasted, giving an award to Bill Gates. Yeah, and you can hear the way how gushingly he's speaking about him.
Bill Gates, for your indivisible commitment to humanity.
Very happy to receive
Bill
it
Gates, who openly boasted on TV about the fact that he's made 10 times the amount of money with his vaccine program in Africa as he did selling any software. Yeah, and bear in mind, Microsoft was the, historically was the Apple of the world. Okay, where every computer was installed with Microsoft, and he was a multi-billionaire before before billionaires were really even a thing. And he's saying, forget that money. I make far more money poisoning Africa than I ever did doing anything else. This man thinks he owns Africa. He thinks he has rights over the control of the population, over the control of the fertility of the women, over the control of the health of the babies. This man is a wicked demon, and he's given him Nigeria's highest award. So this is Tinubu, France, arriving in France. Yeah, ready to do new deals where none historically existed, in the face of Africa rising up to overthrow, Francophone Africa and to overthrow the, you know, the African franc, which has been used to destroy African native economies and to enrich France for no reason whatsoever. And here comes Tinubu, the hero, to do what? Do you want to sign a similar deal? Do you want to become a Francophone nation? Like, what the frig is this man doing? He's such a demon. Just wanted to kind of highlight some of the new deals. Well, the new deal that was struck with the UK and the problematic role that Tinubu is, or the problematic stance that Tinubu is taking with all of the old colonies. He's signed military agreements to have Africa or Nigeria bombed and to enhance the US military presence in Nigeria, something that no one was asking for. He signed trade deals with France. He's shaken hands and signed health deals with Bill Gates. He's signed new port development deals with the UK. There's just no area where he's not willing to collaborate with the colonial old world or the imperial old world. He's just literally building back bridges where time has allowed those connections to crumble and liberated Nigeria somewhat to trade with others. And him and his ministers are making it clear they don't want to trade with others. They want to reestablish these old trade agreements with these exploitative trade agreements that are based on aid and free money coming flowing in from the West so that they can exploit and take what they need from Africa. He really is a demon. And on top of that, his aggression, because you have to frame it like that. He's showing aggression towards surrounding African nations. He's showing aggression. He's showing a willingness to side militarily against our interests. This man is such a problem. Such a problem. But there you go. That's where we are right now, guys.